ओम स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतः क्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Today I am going to discuss about Bhakti based on an anthology called Bhakti Ratnavali. The author of this is Vishnu Puri. As I have told you that this is an anthology. Anthology means it is not a original work. The anthology will be a collection of some original work, and this Bhakti Ratnavali is a collection of the original work of Bhagavata. It is said that Vishnu Puri, who was belonging to Banaras, that is Kashi, had met Sri Chaitanya during the visit of Sri Chaitanya to Kashi. Later on, the devotees of a group of devotees of Vishnu Puri who went from Kashi to Jagannatha Puri met Chaitanya Deva and told that we are all the devotees of Vishnu Puri, and Vishnu Puri has asked some message from his teacher Chaitanya Deva. To this utterance, Chaitanya Deva sent the message to Vishnu Puri telling that he wants the necklace of gems. So the devotees naturally got surprised why Sri Chaitanya Deva is asking a necklace of gems from Vishnu Puri. So when the group of devotees conveyed this message to Vishnu Puri understood the real meaning of what Chaitanya Deva is asking, that is to found the necklace of gems from the Bhagavata. So he made a 13-strand necklace, around 100 verses selected from the Bhagavata, and produced a beautiful anthology called Bhakti Ratnavali. So the Bhakti is the devotion, as you all know. The Bhakti that which is followed in Bhagavata is a very Bhakti of the highest form, which comes after the supreme knowledge of Brahman. After purifying our mind with a fire of devotion, that is called Jnanagni, one becomes eligible to have the devotion to Shri Krishna. That is the concept of the Bhagavatas, and we all know that the Bhagavata was told in Naimisharanya by the Suta Muni to the group of rishis. It was said that 88,000 or some odd rishis were assembled in Naimisharanya and asked the question. To the reply, Suta Muni gave Bhagavata. And of course, all the Puranas are written by Vyasa. Vyasochistam Jagat Sarvam. So Vyasa is the author of many granthas, as we all know, and Bhagavata is also written by the Vyasa himself. And this Bhagavata becomes a samhita like thing, like Vedas. So this is a Mahapurana. We know what are all the Mahapuranas. This is the one of the Mahapurana, and also the Bhagavata Purana is one of the Bhagavata. There are other Bhagavatas like Devi Bhagavata, and Vishnu Bhagavata, there is a dispute between which is the real Bhagavata, whether it is Devi Bhagavata or this Vishnu Bhagavata. Obviously, there are people who believe that the Devi Bhagavata is older than this Vishnu Bhagavata. Anyway, this, if you take from the date from the historians of the West, probably the Bhagavata might have been taken the shape in the 6th century AD, much later to Mahabharata. It was, however, admitted by Hazara that there was an earlier text of it differing very much to the present. Anyway, we can take this Bhagavata might have happened somewhere between 1st to 2nd AD. Otherwise, the Bhagavata is written soon after the Krishna's departure to his Parandama, that is Goloka, that is somewhere around 3362 BC. So that's about the Bhagavatas here. And the hero, the center of all the Bhagavata story is Shri Krishna. He is called the Yogeshwara, the supreme being in the highest form of yoga. That's why the Bhagavata says that of all the Puranas, all the avatars, Krishna's avatara is the highest. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Usually, when the Vishnu takes the avatara, he comes down with some kala, some portions of his divinity. But in the Krishna avatara, Vishnu came with all the Shodasha kalas. That is what told in the Bhagavata. So Bhagavata is undisputedly, even though it is related to Narayana and Vishnu, it is undisputedly a text of Krishna cult, and it became separate Bhagavata Dharma. So this Bhagavata has made the complicated attempts to the Krishna devotees to push the matter further and contend that Krishna is not an incarnation of Vishnu, the Godhead, as ordinarily understood, but the Godhead himself. That means to say that Sri Krishna was already there as a supreme God, separate from the Vishnu, and he himself descended to this earth and he himself went back to his abode. So the Bhagavata is, in the famous verse, it says, all the above are Amsha Kalas of the Purusha, the Supreme Being, but Krishna is the Bhagavan himself. So from Krishna, we can say even the Vishnu has come out. It is given at the end of a dozen or so verses, citing that 24 incarnation of Vishnu, in which Krishna is also included as one without any distinctive status over others. Then this verse is a solitary verse. And in most of the cases, other than this verse, the Bhagavata accepts that Krishna is an avatara of Sriman Narayana. Now coming to the historicity of Krishna in Bhagavata, Bhagavata seeks to do is to stress superb glory and significance of Krishna's incarnation by subordinating the whole of its contents to this one theme and exposing the gospel of Bhakti Yoga centering upon his life and teachings. It is doubtful whether it lends support to the sectarian feat of converting the emanation into Godhead and the Godhead into the emanation. So in the process of treatment of the personality of Krishna, Bhagavata Purana no doubt idolizes him. That is why this devotion cult developed in North India In Bengal, North India means in the Mathura region, in the Vrindavan, in Gujarat, in the Dwarka region, in Bengal where Chaitanya Deva dominated, in the places like Puri and other places, and also in South India like our Udupi, and also in Kerala like Guruvayur. In all these places, the Krishna is glorified as the highest God. So the Indian tradition, the India is as if pervaded with the devotion of Krishna, and Krishna is glorified in all the places. So Krishna can be taken as any relation, like a son, a father, a mother, a husband, and he will appear in that form and he will receive the worship. That is the idea of Bhagavata. Bhagavata shows how to approach God in whatever filial relation that we want to keep. Shankara Bhagavat Pada also says in his Viveka Chudamani that Moksha Karana Samagryam Bhakti Reva Gariyasi. In one of the means to attain the liberation, the devotion becomes the supreme. So this is the devotion is the supreme tool for realizing the Brahman. That is what Shankaracharya also says. He has said that the devotion is a profound meditation on one's own true nature. This is the definition of excellent devotion. However, none but a few can have this kind of devotion. The meditation on the self is also becomes the supreme devotion, but the problem is that we cannot do that kind of highest meditation immediately. So that is why the devotion as a means, as a tool for liberation, bhakti is the best tool. That's what Shankara is trying to convey in Viveka Chudamani. Whereas Madhusudan Saraswati says that there are three kinds of bhakti. One is that I belong to Ishvara. Second type is that Ishvara belongs to me. That is the type of devotion which Yashoda expressed. She treated Krishna as his own child. That means this Krishna is a small child, this helpless child belongs to me. And another thing is that Ishvara, who is all pervading, he himself belongs to me. That is the concept mostly dwelt in Bhagavata. And the third one, Madhusudan Saraswati telling is that I myself is the supreme being. So that kind of highest devotion called I myself is the supreme being is the upasana that we carry out in Jnana Sadhana. So when we are having the devotion to the Supreme God, we should become selfless. We should not expect anything from the God. Yashoda did not expect anything from the God, but she thought that God himself is helpless and he expects anything and everything from me. So she used to think that I have to feed this my child, I had to give him butter, I had to bathe him, I had to take care of him. He is so small, he is a small child and he cannot do anything without my help. This kind of devotion which Yashoda developed is the devotion, such type of devotion many devotees, even Gopikas, developed in a different form of relation or the other. So each devotee has his own way to identify himself with the God, and he develops that kind of relation. And when he develops that kind of relation, he thinks that I should not expect anything from the God. That's what a few weeks back, when in my one of the classes, I told how the Prahlada, when he was told to ask the boon from the Lord, he said that Yasta Ashisha Shaste Nasabritya Savaivanika. If I expect anything in return to my devotion, O Lord, I will become something like a businessman, a Vyapari, who always expects something in return to what he gives. So, I do not expect anything in return to my unfailing devotion at your feet. That is the attitude of the true devotees. And such, a group of devotees we find in Bhagavata. Bhagavata has its own style because it is entirely concerned with the depiction of the majesty and greatness of the Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the Supreme Person. He is not an individual. He is the absolute being, but he is yet responsive to our worship and prayers. And that he could be communed with as one's master, father, mother, friend, or any other relationship one prefers. In the Upanishads and the Buddhist texts, the term Bhagavan is used as a term of address to any exalted or venerable human teacher. We also call our Sri Ramakrishna as Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. So, the incarnation and the teacher is also called as Bhagavan, but in the Puranas, it has come to be applied to God and his incarnations. The Vishnu Purana describes the Bhagavan as one of the Bhaga, one having Bhaga or majesty. So, Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Dharmasya Yashasas Shriyah Jnana Vairagyoryetam Shannam Bhaga Itirina. That's what comes in the Vishnu Purana. What a Bhaga, that means the six majesty of God is described in the Vishnu Purana, and all these six majesty of God were manifested in the Supreme Being Shri Krishna. So we will go through this one by one verse in the future, and this bhakti is the fifth purushartha also. Devotion of this type also can end in the sense of unity in understanding I am He. In the description of Gopi Krishna episode, it is stated that at a stage of their love for Him, they felt themselves to be He. Regarding the state of their mind, it is further stated by Krishna Himself, by the strength of their attachment to me, they become oblivious of their individuality and the whole objective world, just as the mind of the contemplative in samadhi and a river merged in the ocean overcome all distinction created by name and form. But this union contemplated has necessarily to be distinguished from sayujya, which is the goal of bhakti based on jnana. In sayujya, individuality merges in Bhagavan, who is also the absolute philosophy, and the jiva ceases to be an individual by becoming one with the absolute, as a river ceases to be a river and becomes one with the sea when it has joined the sea. This is the mukti or release, but in devotion based on personal relationship of the type of represented by the inhabitants of Vraja and those who follow their path. The goal of foolish spiritual striving does not consist in mukti of the above type. It ripens in the ripeness of their devotion. Devotees get the knowledge of the unity of all existence in Him, but unity in consciousness does not. For the devotee entail an ontological cessation through dissolution in Him. The sense of personal relationship and the urge for serving the Lord result in the retention of individuality, and the devotee becomes eternal servant of God. Hope you have understood this paragraph. This is the Samman Bhavanam of the Bhagavata, we can see it is called, one is called Sayujya, another is the Samipya. Sayujya means merging ourselves in the Supreme Lord. So in the concept of Advaita, when we merge ourselves in the Supreme Being, we become one with the Supreme Being. But in the Sri Vaishnava concept, this Sayujya means we become merged in the Supreme Virat Purusha, Vishwarupa of Vishnu, but even after merging inside his divine body, we will be having our own identity intact. Another is the concept of our Dvaita Bhakti type of Madhvacharya, that is called Samipya. Just like Hanuman sitting near Rama, this kind of devotees will experience the knowledge that the God has become everything, and the whole universe is, the whole Brahmanda is in the Garbha of his Lord, and he is, with all his kindness, out of his mercy, out of his krupa, he has given him the Samipya, vicinity, nearness. So just like Hanuman sitting in front of Rama, the devotee enjoys the darshana of his God. This is the pure type of bhakti, and even the Gopika Stris did not want to merge into the Supreme Being, for they feel that once we merge into the Supreme Being, joy of enjoying the rasa, the essence, joy of enjoying the vision of God will no more exist. So, when we want to enjoy something, we should be separate from that. This example we come across in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, when Sri Ramakrishna asks Narendranath that if you have a bowl of honey, where you will sit and sip the honey? Then Narendranath says that I will sit on the corner of the bowl and sip the honey very carefully so that I will not slip into the honey and I will die in the honey. Sri Ramakrishna says, no, it is not that type of honey at all. When you fall into that honey and become one with that honey, you will become merged in the Brahmananda Sagara, in the ocean of the bliss. So, once you become one with the ocean of bliss, you will not become mortal, you will become immortal. But the Bhakti says, in order to enjoy this nectar, Bhakti Rasamrita, one has to remain separate from the Bhagavan, and they can enjoy the vision and the glory of the Lord. So this is the essence of the bhakti, and the person who becomes a supreme devotee, they become Bhagavatottama. So we can see that one of the great Bhagavata, that is the devotee of Lord Bhagavan, is like Hanuman, is one of the Bhagavatottama, who sees the Lord in all beings, and all beings are resting in Lord, and he serves the Lord in all and every possible way. So once he sees the Lord and becomes his servant, he will not see anything in the world as other than the Lord, and he don't mind working for the sake of the Lord forever. Then he loses his identity and merges his identity with the Lord, keeping the separateness, keeping the sheath of Bhakta and Bhagavan always intact without merging him in him. Through the concept of Bhagavatottama and their preference for the bliss of divine service to liberation and to absorption in the Godhead, it is said that Bhagavata has raised the bhakti to the fifth Purushartha, just like Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha. Another is the Bhakti, is the fifth Purushartha, separate Purushartha. We can see some of the selections of this Bhakti Ratnavali in the coming days. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.